faith and nihilism are thus incredibly closely intertwined. Because nihilism is also the rejection of meaning and power. A nihilist is someone who also experiences Christ crucified in the sense that they experience the rupture of their life, the rupture of their whole way of thinking about the world. Maybe it's because they lost a job, or they got divorced, or they got some disease. And for a person, whenever their life begins to fall apart, they begin to see the structure of reality for what it is, and they begin to get freed from it. Now, what most people do is they simply move from one circle of reality to another. So when one world starts to collapse, they find another circle of reality. Maybe one religion isn't working for a person, so they embrace another religion. They move from one circle to another. But the nihilist is one who doesn't move from one circle of reality to another. The nihilist is the one who says, no, all circles of reality are contingent. They try to experience that loss of meaning and loss of power that is connected with Christ crucified. But then Hessert says, well, the one difference between faith and nihilism is that faith embraces this. It says Abba to this experience, which means trusts. It trusts this experience of the loss of meaning. It goes into it, it celebrates it, rather than seeing this as, nothingness and terrible. It moves in. So now faith isn't a set of beliefs. Again, that's faith in inverted commas, where you believe something with insufficient evidence. Faith is this wholehearted entering into this unknowing and this place of the loss of meaning, and saying yes to that and trusting in it. So resurrection then becomes the form of life that results from this embrace of death. It's living the death of God. It's where God becomes, in a sense, part of the community of believers. We're in this taking responsibility for your life, seeing the contingency of existence, giving up the ideals, becoming soulful, giving up grasping. In that very experience, that is faith. That embrace of this breaking down of everything. And in accepting it, this is a way of embracing a rich life, a deep life, and a life that is actually one that is enviable. If you meet someone who actually lives like this, they are enviable because they are very comfortable in their own being. As I say, you still desire, you still work for the good, you do all of these things, but not from a lack, which is within the circle of reality. You're always lacking, you're always trying to move to some ideal, but rather you act from a place of being comfortable in the chaos of life, being comfortable in the loss of meaning. And so the church becomes, at its best, for Hessert, preaching this life. And by preaching, what he means is, he says, again, preaching in inverted commas means trying to convince you of a truth, something that is a reality. I'm trying to, through argumentation, kind of like convince you. But he says preaching in its deep sense is actually a performative discourse. To preach is to invite a reality. Just like whenever you say, I now pronounce you man and wife, traditionally that was not describing a reality. That was bringing the reality into being. The two people weren't husband and wife until that was said. So the very speech act created what it said. So for preaching, Hessert says, when you preach Christ crucified, you're not making an argument about a reality. You're inviting people to experience something. So the church becomes this space where we, through the music and through the sermon and through the prayers, we begin to experience this reality, this form of life, this loss of meaning and power. And it's terrifying at first. So mostly it's a breath of fresh air, to be honest. You're freed from the world and all of its demands upon you. But it can be terrifying. But actually, as we embrace that as a community, what we find is that this is life-giving, that actually the body of death, in the Bible is called the body of death. The body of death is this guilt and condemnation that comes from lack of not being able to get to where you want to be. And we are incorporated into a body of life, which means we are freed from this body of death, this body of striving, this body of guilt, where we internalize it or externalize it. And we experience something that is truly liberating and life-giving.